So firstly, thank you for the invitation. I am a PhD candidate and I work through Auckland University of Technology and the New Zealand College of Chiropractic. And my PhD is all around understanding the professional identity of chiropractic. Now, obviously, here we go. So really the question is, why is professional identity even important? And what we know is identity is very important for best practice. So we really want to understand, what the entire profession is all about. So we want to understand the international canvas. It's really important for patient-centered care. So we want to see if there's certain elements of professional identity that actually influence patient outcomes. So that's another reason why it's important. And really for me, I think it's great to understand professional identity, because a strong professional identity is known to enhance a profession's identity and their recognition in society. And for me as a chiropractor, I think that's really, really important. What we know in the professional identity literature overall is that for any profession to thrive, it's paramount and really important to understand and research its identity. Now, professional identity is quite a vague construct in general, really, and it's actually a very important and at times there can be a lot of conflict within professions, certainly within osteopathy, within general medicine, within physiotherapy, even in accounting, believe it or not. There's actually quite a few different subtypes, so different approaches, different philosophies, and then this can relate to some infighting, which ultimately doesn't serve a profession to then grow, because it creates confusion, which I will get into a little bit more. So it's actually quite a big topic and there's not a lot out there. So what I needed to do in my PhD is have three kind of general topics overall that I'm looking at. So the first element was to review the literature on what was available out there on chiropractic professional identity, so what had actually been done. Then what I needed to do was define what chiropractic professional identity is, if there wasn't a definition out there already. And my hope for that was that if there is a definition, that potentially there may be some possibility that it can help unify members of different groups within the profession. And then what I want to do, and this last chapter is what I'm doing right now, is creating a measurement instrument that we can actually measure one's professional identity and then perhaps track it over time, and then look at patient outcome measures, and perhaps there'll be some kind of a correlation with identity and outcomes for patients. And this is currently in process, which I will get to as well. So if we go to step one of my PhD, I published a paper in 2020, which was all about evaluating the research out there on chiropractic professional identity. Now, what I found overall is that our patients are happy. So that's great, because there are so many types of chiropractors out there. Now, I'm not sure how many people in the audience or who are listening have ever seen a chiropractor, but I always liken chiropractic a little bit to your hairdresser, okay? So what I mean by that is you don't necessarily always gel with the first hairdresser that you see, but you need your hair cut. And so, you sometimes have to find the right match. So even though there's so many different kinds of chiropractors out there, what we do know is that our patients have a really high satisfaction rate. Now, what this paper also told us is that in the literature, there's predominantly three types of chiropractors. There's the musculoskeletal chiropractor, who is basically involving chiropractic manipulation, or to provide a treatment for dysfunctional joints by mobilization. And the goal here is to reduce pain and improve function. Then there is the chiropractor called the vertebral subluxation based chiropractor. And they're more about helping the body correct, I suppose, biomechanical spinal derangements, which basically are there because of maladaptive effects on neurological function and sensor-motor integration. And the purpose of adjusting subluxations is that it helps reduce and improve one's health and quality of life. Then there's another group of chiropractors called the centrists, and basically they incorporate aspects of both the musculoskeletal and the subluxation-based form of care. Now, we know it's important, or what I discovered from this review article was that there really is a lack of clarity on identity within the profession. And this then basically will impact on the chiropractor individually, and it basically affects their communication with their patients. And it also creates a hindrance, what we know from some South African studies, in basically progressing chiropractic within interdisciplinary health, and it creates some ambiguity with how to market chiropractic in general. Now, a unified profession, whatever the profession is said to be essential for both the personal and social well-being of the individuals who make up that profession. So it's important to have an element of unification. Now, overall, the literature review essentially found 3 different aspects. I'm just going to focus on number 3, this philosophical practitioner subtype element. So in everything that I looked at from 2000, there were only 11 papers that actually looked at this philosophical subtype within chiropractic. So there's not a lot of research out there on professional identity in general. Now, the nuts and bolts of it is that the musculoskeletal, the MSK type of chiropractor, there's no actual number out there. We're not actually entirely sure of how many chiropractors exist within this framework. What we do know is that the literature tends to tell us that there's around 20% or so who are exclusively the subluxation-based chiropractor, and in some research, up to 70% apparently are these centrists. So, we need to have a little bit more work so that we understand who our profession is. So rather than talking about who's better and what kind of a chiropractor you should be, because these subtypes have this infighting, instead, my goal is to understand what makes us tick as a profession overall. In today's world, we're so strong about diversity and everybody can be whoever they want. So instead of saying who's better, who's worse, how you should or shouldn't be, instead, let's understand what makes a strong identity, and let's make an instrument to measure that. So through continued focus and exploration of evolving chiropractic professional identity, a more coherent identity may be possible, which could involve celebrating and embracing our diversity. So that's my goal. So the second element of my PhD was about defining chiropractic professional identity. And this paper is currently under review, and it's using something called a concept analysis. Now, for anyone out there who's not familiar with a concept analysis, I would recommend, I'll get to a slide later on, but it's a process where you basically look at different elements of a vague construct and try and then get a more precise definition or understanding of a topic. So it's actually quite good. So look at it if you ever need to. Now, a clear identity increases confidence in practice, enhances well-being, enhances self-esteem, promotes career success, improves one's satisfaction and their success, and enhances a profession's recognition in society. So it's important to have a definition of a professional identity, and in our case, chiropractic professional identity, because of these reasons. A poor professional identity overall has numerous impacts on individuals and patients. Now, what we know is it creates role ambiguity and role stress for the practitioner, and it has been posed to lead to increased emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, reduced accomplishment, burnout, which are not good things. So, we want our professions to thrive. Now, strong professional identity facilitates increased competence, it fosters belonging, stability, self-esteem, it promotes enhanced decision-making and confidence, which we know will then enhance patient safety, enhances trust, and ultimately leads to better practice and patient outcomes. So remember, there's not a lot of research within chiropractic, but looking at the professional identity literature, this is what everything is saying for numerous professions out there. So this is what I want for the profession that I am in. So this is that 8-step concept analysis method. So again, if you ever need to come up with a definition and there's nothing out there, then these are the steps to take. Now, I'm not going to go through this in any detail, but it's there for anyone who wants it. But ultimately, going through this process, which is what that second paper is all about, you come up with domains, or I guess you could call it subsets of what defines a particular topic. And these are those 6 boxes that you can see, and then you ultimately come up with a definition. So the definition of chiropractic professional identity through this process is a chiropractor's self-perception and ownership of their practice philosophies, roles and functions and pride, engagement with, and knowledge of their profession. So these are the elements that make up one's professional identity. And essentially, if one of those elements is weak, or a few of those elements are weak, then one's professional identity, or their strength of professional identity, is lowered. What we also know is that that means that they can also be heightened, or people can actually improve their professional identity by looking at these domains, which is what the scale that I've made is basically hoping to do. So if we look at this sheep scale today, being a Kiwi, obviously we like our sheep. I hope you're all feeling not number 3 and not number 5, and instead number 9, or maybe a bit of number 1. But a scale is all about, essentially evaluating where you are and then being able to track your progress over time. So basically, this is a formal instrument that I've created, and I'm currently pilot testing it. And it's really all about gaining more clarity on these professional identity constructs, and then operational, okay, you know the word, to basically make it valid and reliable. And really, a professional identity measure is a really powerful prompt for development, self-reflection, and self-monitoring. So this is a process. I had 15 experts. I had some original questions, and then different rounds to come up with questions that were clear, that experts within the field were happy with, so that we could identify these professional identity questions. So there are about 99 or 80, in the 90 realm, and I'm basically in my pilot testing phase. So this is some of these last questions formulated, and there's a like-it response, and people are able to evaluate where they are with these different questions. I think I've got about 280 responses at the moment. There's no more recruitment advertising that I will be doing, but essentially we're going to, through regression and whatnot, look whether gender, ethnicity, years in practice may have some kind of an interaction with one's professional identity. And then we're also going to look at these domains and, essentially look at these philosophical subtypes, and then be able to assess professional identity. We'll be using different statistical methods in order to achieve that. So basically, at the moment, it's going to be called the Chiropractic Professional Identity or Practice Approach Embodiment Scale. And the final instrument will then be able to be field tested. So as I said, there's about 90 odd items at the moment. And then through the statistical analysis that we're about to do, we can hopefully chunk that down, because no one likes a big, long scale, but it'll be whatever it will be. We'll come up with that final instrument that we can then field test. And the research has the potential to broaden the understanding of chiropractic professional identity, and then to aid and improve clinical practice and the public image of the profession, hopefully. So really, we're all about changing the conversation around chiropractic professional identity one step at a time. So it's really that beautiful synergy between practitioners, patients, providers, researchers. We know that our patients are happy overall, but what we really want is our individual professionals, the chiropractors themselves, to also be happy, so they don't have the burnout, and that they can keep providing the care to the people that they serve. So really, that is the main nuts and bolts of a very quick process. I wanted to be on time for being the first person up, but I do want to thank my supervisory team. And I also really, really couldn't do it without some wonderful scholarships and support from Harvard Research, the New Zealand College of Chiropractic Centre for Chiropractic Researchers, Supporters Club, the Australian Spinal Research Foundation, and the New Zealand Chiropractors Association. So I've got a little bit, there's 5 minutes to go, because I've been timing myself too. Would anyone have any questions that they would like to ask, or anything that anyone would like to comment on?
Thank you, Tanja.
Yes.
Well done. Well done. You're a better timekeeper than me.
I
was so involved in your presentation, I forgot to look.
There's it's the control freak in me. That's how I manage 3 kids and a full-time job and a PhD.
Yeah, well done. Excellent presentation, and great PowerPoint slides, nice and clear and easy for the audience to read and follow. And your sheep scale was next level, perfect New Zealand flavour.
Yes.
Yeah. We like our sheep. We do like our sheep here too. Yeah.
Yes, this is great.
So it's an interesting position that your industry is in, isn't it? And what you say that customers are happy, the clients are happy. People obviously getting good service, getting good results from their visits to their local chiropractor, but there is this unease in the industry itself from the side of the chiropractors.
That's correct. And what was really interesting is it's actually not unique to chiropractic. That was new to me. It's within many professions, like I said, within accounting, within general practice and medicine. There's the generalist and the specialist debate, within physiotherapy, within osteopathy, within counseling. There's often infighting within professions. The question is how do you resolve that so that the profession can thrive? And that's my goal, hopefully, to be able to help that somewhere along the way.
Yeah, interesting research. Well, I will pass it over to the floor if anybody. Oh, hands up everywhere. Oh, all the chiropractors. Whoa. Can you hear me okay without the microphone?
Yes, yeah, I can.
Okay. Do you want to go without the microphone, Craig, or would you?
I can hear you. Just I'm putting my good ear to the.
I've got. Is that better with the mic?
Great.
Yeah. I feel like I've got a bunch of stuff I want to talk to you about, but I don't necessarily know how to articulate it right now. But the slide you had up at the beginning that talked about the 3 different categories of chiropractors, I loved.
Yep.
The MSK, the subluxation, the centralist. I'm obviously having an identity like that is great for us within the profession, but it's also great for us to create a united body to appeal and engage professions outside and other allied health and medical professions and et cetera, et cetera. I wonder if I'm interested in your thoughts on whether there's scope within those definitions. They're all based around joint manipulation, really. And there might be chiropractors that see joint manipulation as only one small component of their treatment management plan. They might have a lot more tools in their kit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So in a sense, some of those definitions could be limiting us somewhat. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm right off track. I don't know.
No, well, look, honestly, the professional identity scale that I am creating that's why it's got 99 or 97 questions or whatever it is, because I should really know that, right? But it's going to go down anyway. But yeah, we are looking at all of these elements that do define aspects of what are important to these potential 3 or maybe more subtypes. So then perhaps we can create better definitions also. So I hear what you're saying and I agree with you as a practitioner. And my goal would be to know where all of our different subtypes, what we all agree on, and then how we move forward with as much broad of a definition, I suppose, to be able to unite as opposed to have fragmentation within our profession.
Yeah.
Is it easier if you just take it straight down? Thank you, Craig.
I don't know if you can see me. Here we go.
No, I can't see anyone, but that's okay.
Oh, okay. What's that? Okay, I'll come this way. Pardon me. Okay. Hi, Tanja. Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. I would imagine that this is a challenging topic to research, and I appreciate that. I have 2 questions, actually, and one is related to these subtypes that you have. You mentioned that you engaged experts to help you devise your scale. Was there an equal representation of these types with the people you engaged with to create that?
Yes.
Okay, and the other is how does one reconcile a personal expression within the profession and a professional identity? It's almost like a professional identity might be a prescription that one has to fit into, but then there's this diversity that you talked about, and that is part of the individual expression of the profession. How does one?
Yeah, look, that's a great question. And I feel like if we start somewhere, potentially with this scale, that then we can understand at least what makes up one's professional identity, then how to strengthen that, and then how you position yourself within that, how you express your own values and your own ideals within that is, I think, the secret to life, right? How does one reconcile their faith? How does one reconcile their whatever it is in life with how they live in life? You know, that's the dance that we're all trying to do. But when you've got a strength in whatever, you know, faculty you're working with, then you are able to express that and you find a flow. So for me, we're starting somewhere, and that is coming up with this scale. And then God knows there's so many other questions out there that we can answer, such as yours.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Beautifully said.
Any other burning questions? Because we probably should move on now. Tanja, thank you very much.